What's up, people? So, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about this very simple strategy. Well, it's not really that simple, but people use this strategy pretty often, especially when they want to utilize the existing money that they have in the market already. So, let's just call it sell the pop and buy the drop. So this sell the pop buy the drop strategy, I would say, has been around for quite some time. It's not entirely new. It's just that you have to take some effort to monitor the charts a little bit, or that particular crypto trading pair that you're interested in. Now, when do you use the sell the pop and buy the drop strategy? Personally, if I actually use it, I always want to be doing this strategy with a cryptocurrency that I am particularly familiar with, in a sense that when I say familiar, I'm either familiar with the technical aspects of it in terms of the price action and price movement and the daily volume that it has, or it is just fundamentally sound that I know continuously there is developments and announcements that will help move its price. And obviously there is enough organic action with very little market making requirements so that I can confidently sell the pops and buy the drops, because you don't want to be buying something that pops once and then drops and never pops again. That is the part where you get stuck. So we're going to be covering the very simple strategies first, and then from then we'll move on to the sell the pop and buy the drop strategy. So what's up, everyone? Right, so TK, thank you for watching. It's been a while since I mean, it's the market is starting to heat up a little bit. And what's up, man? Buying NPXS then? Well, yeah, sun-dried potato. NPXS is now on Bittrex International. If you're looking to buy it directly, I'd suggest that maybe you want to consider using Bittrex International instead. But if you are someone who has NPXS, you want to probably do the swaps, because you get a much favorable conversion rate as opposed to you buying the FX tokens directly. So anyway, let's get back to the strategy first. Okay, so let me get rid of this. So so everyone is very familiar with the dollar cost averaging strategy, right? Let's just use Litecoin as an example. So for the sake of this video, I am going to be using the LTC USDT pairing, just for simplicity's sake, so that everyone can understand. Right now, I would say that the whole market is starting to shift towards a more bullish stance. So buying cryptocurrencies as they start trending upwards is not a bad idea. Okay, it is not a bad idea at all. But of course, everyone receives their paycheck at the end of the month, in the middle of the week, and sometimes getting the money into a particular exchange for you to buy may not always be the best entry price. So sometimes utilizing a few simple indicators or charting tools will help you make the decision of entry that much easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a very simple, straightforward tool that you can use. So this is Coinergy, right? You can use TradingView, you can use Coinergy, you can even use the tools that are inbuilt in the respective exchanges. But what everyone can do is just use the FIPS. Okay, so the FIPS are a very basic tool that most people will use. So you draw it from either the top, from the bottom to the top, or from the top to the bottom, depending on what you're trying to achieve. So if you are looking at a near-term trend, it's now an upward trend, obviously. You are looking for certain retracements in the market. So right now, if let's say if you have missed the LTC boat, let's assume that this is a clean trade, you have not bought Litecoin, you don't even know what the heck it does. Like I said, you either follow it from a technical standpoint or you understand it from a fundamental standpoint. My suggestion is try to appreciate both, because if you don't know the history and the backstory of a particular cryptocurrency, why buying it can be quite dangerous. But of course, if you're trading it, then naturally you just want to follow the price action, the volume, and as you advance in your technical analysis, you will use a little bit more indicators to give you that much more information for you to enter and exit the position. So anyway, the FIPS is an easy way to just take a look at levels. So right now, the key levels or the ratios that you want to take note of are the 0.382 and the 0.618. So sometimes it lines up. Sometimes the places where the price starts to consolidate lines up very nicely with the ratio. So these ratios are important because you want to be able to find support levels, or at least segments of where the price will trend or most likely trend downwards to or trend upwards to. So right now, if you look at the current price, right, let's say, okay, LTC has made a new high for the year. Okay, it is definitely made a new high for the year, but you are very uncertain because since the price went up so much, and yesterday there was a lot of volume, right, that was more on the negative side. Well, like I said, take profit will happen towards the end of the week. I commented this in my Protégé Pro group. I also commented this in the Protégé community. So this is something that's very important for everyone to understand. So right now, after you have determined the levels, if you notice that the levels have kind of found a support, or at least you can notice this trend line, you can use any particular ratio. It doesn't always have to be at the 0.618 or the 0.382 line. But if you notice, because these days bots and most traders will use the FIPS, and that is why you notice that there is a somewhat support when especially at the 0.382 ratio. So this is at the $73 mark, okay, 73.89 to be exact. And you notice that the price, if we zoom in a little bit closer, you'll notice that the wicks tend to find a very nice bounce, especially when it's closing in on this line. Then when BTC starts to sell down very aggressively, which it did, and that is why you have this very sharp sell down that breaks past this support. Okay, we call this the support, but it will also after that bounce back up. The moment it reaches a new trend line, or at least a new support level or a new ratio, you notice that it will bounce and it will at least try to find a new support and or regain that support. So this is what's been happening at the moment, and you see it follows very nicely. If you notice, it follows very nicely. So these are the things that you can take note of. And so far, I don't use fancy smanchy histograms and diagrams or indicators. From the very first time when I started, anyone who follows me knows that I use only the few indicators, and it has served me very well. It doesn't have to be complex. Just keep it simple. So right now, back to the strategy. So the dollar cost averaging strategy obviously is lacking in terms of great entry points. So the dollar cost averaging strategy is usually based on when you get paid. It's really not much to it, and it allows you to build a position over time. Okay, that means you don't have the lump sum now to enter at a strategic price point. Let's say, for example, you saw Litecoin at around the $30 region back in January of 2019, but you didn't have enough cash, so you couldn't put in that much at the time, or there were certain restrictions by your bank, or maybe your account wasn't fully verified, so on and so forth. These excuses. After that, the price starts to peak, or at least the price starts to spike. You get a little bit concerned, you pull away from it because you don't know. Because at the time, there was still a lot of talk that the price of Bitcoin could potentially tank, right? And if that information kind of got the better of you, you wouldn't have pulled the trigger, you probably wouldn't have bought. So the dollar cost averaging strategy sometimes is a little bit flawed in that sense. But now that we know that the trend is up, okay, you want to at least utilize your dollar cost. You want to strategically put in money into the market with your dollar cost averaging strategy, which I highly encourage, especially if you don't have time to understand charts, or you have very little knowledge on how to even draw charts properly, right? So what you want to do is at least focus on something that you are very familiar with. It suits your lifestyle. It is not about you, FOMOing and listening. That's the problem with this space. Because information is so free flowing from Twitter, YouTube, whatever website that you're reading, and you get all these notifications all the time. Sometimes maybe you're in a very active trading Facebook group, people find opportunities here and there, and everything is just going all over the place. It kind of distracts you and confuses you from your strategy. And you have to learn how to discipline yourself. If you say that, okay, I'm going to accumulate 5,000, let's say I'm giving you a figurative number. Let's say I'm going to accumulate $5,000 worth of Litecoin, okay? But I don't have the $5,000 now. I'm going to be putting in maybe anywhere from $100 to $500 across a 10-month time frame, okay? So this is, let's assume that this is when you started. Let's just use January. Okay, let's use January as the point that you start getting real serious about this whole thing. Okay, so let's say you got real serious. Every month you will put in a certain amount of money. Let's just assume it's $500 for the sake of this. So every month you put in $500. Okay, you continue to trend upward. You build your position. Obviously, you get less and less and less tokens as the market goes up. Okay, but don't forget that when the market corrects, you are also able to buy and have a better average price over the long run. Now, this is good when the market is at least stable, in a sense that it's trending up slowly. If you have parabolic movements like how BTC has been just going up this way, it really doesn't make any sense for you to throw money in. What you want to do is sell the pops and buy back on the dips, right? So let's say, for example, you have positions in January, right? You have positions in January, and somehow you notice that, oh my goodness, there's this parabolic movement. Perhaps I can sell off a portion of what I already have. I don't have to contribute more. What you're doing is just letting go of a small portion of your existing holdings with still the long-term intention to accumulate. So what you do is, since my pay isn't in yet, right? My pay isn't in yet because somehow, my boss is being a jackass and just holding the pay or whatever. You decide to let go a portion of your holdings with the intention to obviously buy it back. And there are opportunities that happen in the market. For example, if you see certain candlestick formations, right? For example, this is like uncertainty already after a very nice sharp spike. You notice that there's this bear and bull struggle, and then after that you see the market start to sell down. You can already start exiting the position, right? Exiting a small portion of the position, and then after that considering to re-enter a little bit later anywhere here. Or obviously, if you can do some low ball orders, that would be great as well. See, this line actually fell very, very nicely. So you can set up a few orders to rebuy. And not only that, once the market starts recovering, your overall value goes up and you have more tokens and you didn't have to put in any new money yet. So this actually also serves the purpose of helping you build your portfolio. Now, I know that there are some reputable folks on Twitter that don't recommend selling. Well, the whole idea of selling sometimes may be perceived as selling your whole position. I think if your intention is still to accumulate, I feel that this strategy is perfectly fine because not everyone has that much cash to keep throwing into the market. Okay, so there has to be certain strategies that work for your particular style. Now, sometimes folks may find that, oh man, do I have to spend a lot of time looking at these charts all the time? It's a little bit complex, Ryan. Is there a simpler way to do this? Honestly, this is as simple as it gets because there has to be a certain level of skill involved. This is not a no skill space, guys. If you haven't figured that out, right, I highly suggest that you walk away and unsubscribe from this channel, because if you don't want to put in any effort into making money and you expect everything to be done on your own, this is the wrong space for you. Okay? Asset management for crypto is available, but it's available for high net worth folks. The Bostons and the Bettys unfortunately don't have that access yet. And even if it does, I'm always very concerned, because the folks who are selling to the Bostons and Bettys are always, usually 90% of them, I'm not saying all, but 90% of them are only concerned with their own commissions for their own pocket. When that actually happens and it's open up to the retail, where they're providing advisory, financial advisory, and they offer crypto, that is probably the time when the market is definitely more mature. But I'll definitely be very concerned, because it was no different to me. It's no different from when I was serving folks back in the days when I was a banker myself. We all had to pay the bills, we all had families to feed, and we all make commissions from selling financial products. It's just the way it is. And it all boils down to the integrity of the people that are serving you. Okay? So right now, there is that opportunity where people are more willing to share certain types of information. So there are folks who say, hey Ryan, in the past you used to be very generous with the information, and at the time you were giving information for free. Why is it now that you have this premier group that people have to pay you $80 a month? What happened to the free goodie old school free information that I can just go and ask you for it? This is the part where you have to understand that as you get more and more information, especially valuable information, it becomes a commodity. And I guess maybe when you ask this question, you're either someone who doesn't have your role doesn't your existing role, whether you're working. Usually, even if you're working, do you work for free? Do you go to work every day and commute 1 hour to 2 hours a day, and at the end of the day you work for free and you don't have a paycheck? You probably do that if you're an intern, or maybe if you're interning at a high profile company, because at the end of the day it gives you a chance to brush up your resume, or it gives you a chance to rub shoulders with the who's who in that particular company. So you're trading your time for something possibly better in the future. So right now I'm trading information with people. If people value this information and they feel that what I have to offer them is going to make them money, why can't I charge? You see, it's just very simple. It's just very simple. So I built my reputation and my brand and put out so much content so that I have that leverage, that when I speak to people in those companies that you are interested to invest in, and I manage to sift out certain information that is valuable to you, wouldn't you want to know that? So sometimes it's convenient to share publicly, and sometimes it's more convenient to share privately with private clients. It's just the way it is. And eventually people will have to understand that. Oh, but why do you have to charge monthly then? I have other groups that are charging $15 to $20 for a whole lifetime. So my question to you is, do you think that you're going to get great information for something that's $15 to $20? There are some groups that function in that way, which I find pretty interesting. So there's something that they're always getting at the end of the day. They always say that they're doing it for free, or they're doing it for the greater good of the community. That's complete BS, because at some point they will always monetize. I'm just a little bit more upfront about it. I've always been very upfront. I've always mentioned that I'm a businessman. I'm here to trade information, and if you're here to make money, I have every right to make money as well. It's a fair game, guys. So for me, I built my stature, my reputation, so that I can work with the people in the blockchain industry. Not only that, I've put in my own money, right, into the blockchain space so that people can get well informed. That's the whole idea. Looking at these charts don't tell you shit all the time, guys. I can go into a particular cryptocurrency knowing that it has no volume, but I know that eventually it will move because I know the sound fundamentals behind the company. You see, that's a very big difference. And why do I know this? Not by reading a white paper, not because I saw their website and I was impressed by the very interesting website that they did. I didn't do that. I did that because I went there, I had the leverage and I used it, and I was able to get their attention. And you need to understand that. You need to have that kind of information. If you don't have that kind of information and you're going to be willing to throw hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands into the market, don't you want someone who can help you to do that? Don't you think that that is valuable to you? So that's the part where I never ever understood why people question the amount that I charge. It's very cute. It's very, very cute. And I realize that when I look at the space as a whole, there are some who cannot differentiate who does what. Okay? There are some who actually do exactly what I do. There are some who go above and beyond and are specialized in certain aspects, which is great. And I also give kudos to those particular content creators or specialists. Same thing, I'm a professional in the space. I am here to serve a purpose in the community, to give you the most accurate information about the projects that I invest in. And at the same time, if you find that those projects that I'm investing in are of value to you and you feel that, hey, this guy has been pretty accurate, he's been making money on a consistent basis from his recommendations, perhaps I can make money too. And that's what you're paying for. That is exactly what you're paying for, because you want the information that everyone else doesn't have. Right? So this is how it's going to work. Overall, when you use these strategies and you combine the information and the strategies together, that's how you're going to make money in the space. Naturally, I also cover a lot about risk all the time. 90% of my videos are always about managing risks. It is never about the fluffy stuff. And I don't simply just say, put in an amount of money that you can afford to lose. Nobody likes to lose money, period. If you make strategic allocations and you really understood your risk before you put the money in, theoretically, you don't lose. You may lose for a short period of time on paper, but overall, you're going to gain because you did the homework or you were armed with the information from what CG has provided you to make the educated guesses or informations for you to enter a particular trade or a particular investment. That is the whole purpose. You see, so a lot of all these things, right, are not covered by a lot of YouTubers because none of them have the financial background that I do. That is the value add. Because if you understood that, right, eventually before asset management comes into play, trust me when I say this, asset management will happen. It's already happening. And if you ignore for the fact that these people are coming into the space with, we're talking about full-on Bloomberg level, we're talking about full-on private banking level, private equity level coming into the space, and they know exactly what to do, you are going to be priced out. So what are the Bostons and the Bettys going to do then? I don't even have access to this kind of information. Unfortunately, yes, you get it from a weird guy who just woke up, wearing glasses, wearing a black t-shirt with a sofa behind, giving you information. Unfortunately, that's how it is. That is how it is at the moment. And it's up to you to decipher whether or not the information that is coming out from my mouth is valuable to you or not. Anyway, that is all that I have for the episode. Take care. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And at the same time, don't forget to just bring everything together, piece everything together. And of course, there is the Protégé Pro group that you can just join. There's also the Protégé Pro community that is entirely free. But like I said, this space is full on. It's going to be exciting. You're going to be able to start looking at certain things that you never had before, especially if you were in the bear market, you started off in the bear market. Things are going to start heating up, guys. Anyway, see you in the next live stream.